Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm with the Bayaud Career Center. Hey, interviews can be rough. You don't know what they're going to ask you. You're not really sure what questions to prepare for. Sometimes nerves can really get in your way. But today I'd like to take some time out to teach you a few tips and tricks on how to ace your interview. Okay, so your three biggest tools are the job description, right? You are handed a tool that lists everything that the company is looking for in terms of skills, in terms of qualifications, in terms of desired attributes, right? And so what you should do before any interview, and ideally a couple of days beforehand, is you're going to want to print out that job description or save it somewhere on your computer. And you're going to go through that job description. Underline or highlight every single qualification or grouping of words, keywords, right, that describe really what they're looking for in the ideal candidate. And those kinds of words might be administrative skills, ability to think quickly on your feet, right? Bilingual, perhaps. They might be looking for someone with some marketing skills or someone that's able to lift 50 pounds. None of that should go to waste. All of those should be things that you're prepared to talk about in the interview. Oftentimes when we don't take the time to prepare up front for the interview, we forget, right? We just answer the questions without really trying to weave in examples of what they're looking for, and it's an opportunity lost. Taking the time up front to look through that job description, really making sure you're looking at everything they're looking for, and then as we'll go over here in a few slides, making examples for everything, it will set you up for success, okay? So the job description. Now the second tool is information about the company. Interviews will ask you straight up, how much do you know about our company and how much do you know about this position? Okay, so walking in there and not knowing a whole lot is a good way to undercut yourself, right? So make sure you take the chance before the interview to read every page on that website. You should know every nook and cranny of that website, every program that they have. Find a correlation between what you're looking for in a job and what they have on their website, what they offer as a company. Okay, so that's the second tool. The third tool really is your experience. And that's all going to come down to not only your resume, but examples. So examples. It's examples, it's examples, it's examples. It's one of the most important things you can do in preparing for any interview. So ideally, a couple nights before your interview, up to a week before, or if you're applying for many positions and you're getting many different interviews, you really should be doing this and tweaking it for every interview you go on, but it's really going to help you up front to get everything out on that sheet of paper and help you start to memorize, okay? So what do I mean by examples? So what I mean is, I think that how we had mentioned before, you're going to have that job description printed out. You will have the qualifications they're looking for highlighted. So I need you to take every qualification they're looking for, pull out admin skills, right? Pull out administrative experience, put it at the top of a piece of note paper, and then write examples of all of the qualifications that you have from your past that meet what they're looking for. So do take the time out, write examples for each of the skills that they're looking for on how you meet that, and incorporate a few other things. I'm going to include at the very end of this video, I'll have some resources for you guys. And one of the resources is going to be most commonly asked interview questions with a few hints and techniques on how to answer them. So do pick out at least 5 or 6 that you feel like are broad enough where if you're asked one that's slightly different in the interview, you already have a prepared answer that you can kind of mold a little bit on the spot to make it answer correctly. And another area where examples are going to be crucial to prepare ahead of time is examples of how you are a good culture fit. So that's what I mean about using their website and the news ahead of time to find out what this company's top priorities are. Maybe it's fast turnaround, maybe it's excellent customer service, but to provide examples that will really imbue their top values that they're looking for in candidates is going to be really crucial. Now, there are going to be some tricky questions. You won't have prepared for everything. Some of these tricky questions might be how to answer questions regarding a disability or an illness, how to answer questions about gaps in employment or having been laid off or fired. Stick around for more videos on this, okay? We are going to prepare a few more. We realize these are important. So practice. You might have all of your answers prepared, but you just really don't know how your voice sounds when you're trying to piece together all these different examples. When one of the best things you can do is hook up with a friend, get in front of the mirror, or call a loved one, talk to yourself while walking in circles outside, whatever it takes, but really have a chance to smooth out anything. If you feel like you want to go with an elevator pitch, or a really sweet answer to tell me a little bit about yourself, then practice it. Prepare questions ahead of time. This is such a great chance for you to get to know the company a little bit more, see if you're a good fit. Stray away from asking questions about how much the pay is or what the vacations are. Hold off on those until you get the job offer, okay? Instead, focus on a few questions that I've listed here. There's many on the internet. There's a lot to ask, but you're really going to want to take that opportunity to get to know the interviewees more, maybe why they enjoy working at that company, or what you will need to have accomplished in 1 year's time if you get the job, to say that they're super happy they hired you. That's a really good question to ask too. So let's go a little bit into about at the interview, self-presentation, very important. You're gonna want to arrive 15 minutes early. And if that means that you need to kind of drive there the day ahead of time to figure out how much time it might take, do that. If that means you need to get on the train, 30 minutes before you normally would, go ahead and do that. That gives you this good opportunity to maybe walk around, quiet your nerves, take a few breaths, review your notes. But get there 15 minutes early. Silence your cell phone. One common thing is people's cell phone will ring during the interview, and that's a good way to just kind of ruin your vibes. Smile and eye contact. It doesn't need to be the big cheesy grin, but make sure you're making eye contact so that they know that you're someone that can be engaged. The handshake, you don't want any dead fish, but you don't want to hurt them. So a nice firm handshake is going to go a long way. And some small talk. When they come and get you from the lobby, have a few questions ready, like, hey, how are you doing today? The weather is great, right? Just make sure you're able to make a few small talk back and forth between you and the people that will be interviewing you. And then bring a notebook. Now, this might not be what everyone would like to do. I personally have always brought a notebook, and it's a really great thing for me to have, especially when I want to ask for everyone's name. Okay, and that's going to come in use later. But you say, hey, would you mind, what's your name? And writing it down. So you really have that opportunity, especially at the end of the interview. You don't remember the name from the first time you asked, and you can look and say, thank you very much, and repeat their name back to them. It really creates that connection. Wardrobe and hygiene are huge. Now, I've listed a few suggestions for those who identify as female and for those that identify as male. Take or leave it, right? They're suggestions, but a few things that I think might be good for you to know is consider, if you can, removing those piercings and covering tattoos as possible. You never know. It might be a workplace that really encourages self-expression in that way, but you definitely want to feel it out beforehand. So, brush your teeth. Make sure you're not stinking like cigarettes. You don't want to smell too much like perfume, or too heavy of perfume, really. And these are some examples of what you might not want to wear. Body language. Like I had already mentioned before, smiling, making eye contact, not staring, not fidgeting. You don't want to be doing this the whole time. You might inevitably be doing one of these where you're kind of rubbing your thumb up against. I've seen a lot, or maybe you're doing it underneath the table, tapping. But you want to come off as cool and calm. Where are your arms? Maybe not sitting like this. I have read before, and I think it's interesting, and keeping your arms kind of open. And I'm doing this here. Keeping your arms kind of open and out. To show openness, maybe you open your hand up on the table like this, and no gum. You don't want to be chewing on gum while you're in the middle of the interview. Speaking with confidence, this is Another good reason for you to be practicing beforehand. Doing the likes, the are a good way to lose people's attention and have them thinking about other things while you're sitting in front of them. If you don't know the answer to the question, that's okay. Ask for time. Say, that's a good question. Would you mind if I think about that for a little bit? And then answering in parts. You can say something like, that was a big question. Let me break it down into a few parts. I'd like to answer the first piece first. And while you're answering the first piece, maybe the second piece will come out on its own. Following up with an email, this is a really good way to make sure you stand out as a candidate. I'm going to include this template and the resources after this, so stay tuned for that. But again, another reason why having a notebook and writing people's names down and writing down their email is really going to behoove you. In the description box below, I'm going to include 3 things for you. The first is going to be a job interview checklist, and then a list of commonly asked questions and some suggestions on how to answer that. And I'm also going to include a link to an example of the after interview email. Now, all 3 of these are going to be Google Drive URLs, and so you click on it, it should open up in another page, and you'll be able to save it to your own Gmail and make edits to it. All right. Thank you so much for watching this lesson on how to ace your interview. Hey, good luck out there. You're going to do great. Okay. If you would like to ask me any personal questions, or if you'd like for me to expand on anything, you have some questions, go ahead and email me. I will also put my email in the description box below. Again, my name is Jessamine. You have a great day and go get them.